If you can choose between smart or rich, what do you choose?
I think I would choose being smart because if you think about it, then let's assume you were born into a poor family, but if you were but you're smart, then you can work your way up the ladder, social ladder, and finally become rich in the end.
So first of all, do you remember when did you first started learning English?
Well, if I'm honest with you, I never really learned English specifically. Ever since I was old enough, it was more integrated into my lifestyle. And I realized at my first day at ILA, I realized that English is a lot more than grammar and pronunciation. It was more about connection, communication.
Xin chào quý vị khán giả đang cùng đến với podcast Đi học được thực hiện bởi ILA. Đây là nơi mà chúng ta sẽ cùng gặp gỡ với những vị khách mời, cùng lắng nghe những bài học, những câu chuyện đằng sau quá trình thành công và trưởng thành của họ và lý do họ trở thành con người của họ ngày hôm nay. Hello everyone and welcome to the ĐI HỌC podcast where we meet amazing people with amazing stories so we can learn from them. And in today's podcast, I have a very special guest. She's just a 12-year-old student, but she has earned a lot of achievements. I can tell here the champion of Speak Up 2022 and also the winner of the national Trạng, Nguyên English competition. She's Nguyễn Nhật Dương, and today I'm going to talk a lot with her. So, hello Dương, welcome to the show. So, before you start the show today, and even before you introduce anything about yourself, let's play a little game with me. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay, so now I'm going to give you a few pairs of words. You have just about 5 seconds to pick either one, okay? And then tell me a little bit more about it. So now let's try with the first pair of words. Is that okay? So I have the first one, the music or movie?
I think I choose movie.
Movie, so which movie?
Throughout my childhood, I watch a lot of Disney movies a lot. I enjoy watching those. And I'd say one of my favorites would be Elemental or Encanto. Oh. Yes. Well, I think the storyline, especially in Elemental, is, although on the outside it looks like a childish film, there's very deep meanings behind that. So for example, in Elemental, there the 4 signs come: earth, water, fire, and air come to life. And in there, the fire is discriminated against. They're told to go back to Fireland. And I think that has very deep meaning.
Amazing. So the second one, flower or pet?
I think I would choose flowers because from my view, I think flowers and plants are just simpler overall. There have been fierce debates about cats or dogs, but I've never seen debates about roses or tulips or something, so yeah.
Oh, nice. Lego or Uno?
I think I'd choose Uno because, have you ever seen those memes on the internet? If you step on a Lego, then your life is over or something like that. Plus, I like Uno because I play with my friends. I play Uno with my friends a lot, so it just brings back a lot of memories.
Yeah, Lego, most of the time you play alone. Right?
Yeah.
So, creativity or logic?
I think both are really important, but for me, I think more in logic themed.
And the final one, if you can choose between smart or rich, what do you choose?
I think I would choose being smart because if you think about it, then let's assume you were born into a poor family, but if you were but you're smart, then you can work your way up the ladder, social ladder, and finally become rich in the end. However, if you're not so smart and you get born into a rich family, then you may gamble away all your money or something like that, and you'll be poor again, back to square one.
Wow.
I think smart is more important.
Wow, amazing. Thank you very much for your very fun game and also your answers. So now it's time for you to introduce about yourself a little bit.
So good day, everyone. My name is Nguyễn Nhật Dương. My English name is Jessica. You may call me that. I'm currently studying at the ĐI Schools, Ocean Park, and I'm turning 12 this year, 7th grade. I've been studying at ILA for around 3 to 4 years.
Okay, amazing. So everyone, a 12-year-old girl, but she speaks English very fluently. So today I'm gonna ask a lot of questions around the journey of studying English. So first of all, do you remember when did you first started learning English?
Well, if I'm honest with you, I never really learned English, like specifically. Ever since I was old enough, it was more integrated into my lifestyle. So my mom, she was very smart. So I was really young. English was basically all around me. I listened to a lot of English podcasts. I watched a lot of English cartoons. And I read a lot of English fairy tales and storybooks. So like I treat English nearly as I would treat Vietnamese. It has always been just a means of communication for me, not like an academic subject.
Do you speak English at home with your
Yes,
mom?
I do. I speak English with my siblings a lot.
Nice. So, can you think of a moment in the past when you suddenly realized, oh, this language is so beautiful. I love this language a lot. Or just like simply you enjoy speaking it?
I think that I've never really had any of those eureka moments where I realized I just loved English so much. But I do, because I've never seen it as an academic subject, and English has always come really naturally to me. Like, it's almost like a second mother tongue, if that sort of makes sense. I see English as if any of you would see Vietnamese, just as a means of speaking.
Do you think that you speak English even more fluent than speaking Vietnamese?
Well, I wouldn't say that, because when I was younger, I learned English and Vietnamese side by side. So I'd say my English is nearly as fluent as my Vietnamese.
So at home, who inspired you to study English at first?
Well, I think the people who inspired me to love English the most was my parents. So first of all, my mom. Although she can't really speak English that well herself, she has always been by my side, cheering me on through the hard bits and all that, and I really appreciate that for her. And my father, although he's not home a lot due to his job, but he's always there in spirit by me. He always believed in me, always insisted that I would be able to do amazing things, and I often did due to their words of encouragement.
Wow, you're so lucky to have parents who are always beside you. So you said that your mother was always beside you and helped you cheer you up on your studying English journey. So what are some daily habits that your mother help you to build up in order to studying English that well?
Well, I don't know about daily habits, but I think one thing that was very smart of her, when we were really young, me and my siblings, she integrated English directly into our lives. So we never felt as if we had to study or learn English. We didn't see it as a chore, but it was just a means of communication. It was a fun means of communication for us.
Amazing. Can you tell me a little bit like activities that you often do with your mom at home to practice English?
Well, she often downloaded a lot of fun apps for us. So for example, and when we learned very young and I was learning phonics, then she downloaded a lot of fun apps in which I didn't just have to work using textbooks, because that would be a little bit depressing for a young child. She was very smart. She made learning fun for us.
Oh, so you found studying English was very fun.
Yes.
Okay, so is there any moment that you feel like studying English is really hard, tough, even tiring or boring? Any moment like that?
Well, I've never found English boring, but studying anything will get tiring in the end. And as a young child, sometimes it gets stressful. So I think my mom prevented the feeling of oppression, boredom, and etc. by never referring to English as an academic subject in general. It was just a means of communication for us.
When it came up to competitions, of course, you have to practice a lot to prepare for the competitions. What did your mom do to cheer you up or to help you overcome the difficulties in preparing for a competition?
I think that she made preparing for a competition a lot easier by the way that she made sure that we were studying consistently. So we weren't studying just when an exam is going to come up or we had to. She integrated the studying, like I've said many times, she integrated the studying into our lives. So I listen to English podcasts a lot every day. I read the news over in America, not just to improve my reading and writing skills, but also to get a grip of the world around us. And that way, it's consistent. my mom always told me that the competition is, we shouldn't see it as like a very stressful, like hair-tearing event. It's just a challenge, an obstacle, right? And what matters isn't what we get in the end, but how we address the getting through the challenge.
Wow, amazing. So if you look back and you see many lessons that you can learn from your mom based on your journey of learning English and the way that she helped you to study English, what is one biggest lesson that you can learn from her?
Well, I think a really big lesson I've learned from her is to believe in yourself and don't compare yourself to other people. So I remember once I was at school and we just finished PE lesson, and I felt like I'm so bad at PE, like a little clumsy and all that. And my classmates were really bonding over this basketball, and I don't really know how to play basketball. I'm not that good at basketball. And I felt a little like disappointed in myself, a little left out. And I told her about it, and she told me that I shouldn't compare myself to them, because what I don't usually consider when I look at people who are better than me is the effort that they put to getting there. And she told me if I and anyone were willing to put that effort, then they could get to around the same level or even more than those people. So we should never compare ourselves to somebody else unfairly.
And how did you feel after hearing that?
I feel like it just changed my life. I saw my friends and I saw myself in a different lens.
Yeah, and it changed your life until now. So, if you can say something to your mom and your dad right now, after all of those lessons and changing moments, what would you say?
I would thank them sincerely for always being by my side, for never giving up on me, even when sometimes I'm on the verge of giving up on myself, if that sounds a little depressing. And I would thank them for being willing to work hard to be able to provide for me and my siblings a better and yet better still education day after day, and being patient with me even when sometimes I'm not able to appreciate them like I should.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Wow, I admire your story a lot. So you've just told me that at home you and your mom practice English as it is just a daily activity. But after all, your mom still enroll you at an English center. So how did it change your life?
Well, however many workbooks I complete, or podcasts I listen to, or cartoons I watch, then there are some skills that can't be mastered properly without proper guidance or real life experience. And I realized at my first day at ILA, I realized that English is a lot more than grammar and pronunciation and the such. It was more about connection, communication. Having friends that share the same interests and goals and passions as I do, and having them grow and learn alongside me was something I really loved at ILA, and it truly changed how I looked at the subject of English.
Looking at your English ability at that moment, before and after enrolling ILA, how did you see your English ability improve? For example, at that moment, can you realize like your reading is not good or speaking pronunciation is not good, anything like that, and then you improve?
Well, I think let's just focus on speaking. So at the time, I think my pronunciation was fine, but my presentation skills weren't that good yet, because I don't present a lot at home. And that was why I really appreciated the group projects at ILA, really appreciate them, because they gave me a chance to enhance my presentation skills, learn to speak clearly and persuasively, and like get into the leadership roles. And that's something that I think like was really difficult to learn from a textbook. So I think I gained that from ILA.
How about the center's environment? How do you feel about the environment, the teachers, and even your friends at ILA?
One thing I really love about the ILA environment is how supportive and inspiring everybody there is, the students and the teachers. So one thing I must mention is the teacher who taught me for all my time at ILA. His name, Teacher Sean. I think he's a very good teacher, because I was the youngest in a class full of teenagers, right? And at times I get really rowdy, and And like I get tricks and games and shenanigans, and we used to hide his shoes a lot and all that. And sometimes I'm a bit childish like that. However, instead of ever yelling at me or telling me to be quiet and all that, Teacher Sean, he was always very tolerant with me. He never tried to show me that my energy was distracting from the class or like dim my light. Instead he told me, nudged me in the right direction and tried to redirect my energy into more beneficial things like studying. And I think it's thanks to his lively methods of teaching and his otherworldly tolerance that thanks to him that's I'm where I am today.
Wow, I can sense how much you like the environment at ILA and your teacher, Sean, right? But I also know that after enrolling at ILA for a period of time, your mother had to decide to pause the class. So how did that decision affect you?
Well, of course, I felt very upset because I was just introduced to this environment where I felt I was heard. I had people that shared the same interests as me all around me. This was the place I learned, I grew, and I felt truly myself. And I was really upset when I learned that I might not be able to study here anymore. And it also opened my eyes a little. It reminded me how meaningful my journey at LA really was. And that was when I decided I was determined that I would have to continue my journey here. And that was when I decided I would write a letter.
Yes, and after that, you wrote your mother a letter asking her to come back to study at ILA, right? So can you share a little bit about that letter? Because to me, it was very interesting, and I would like to know more about the letter, the content of the letter that you wrote to your mom.
Well, when I sat down and decided I'm going to write this letter, then there was a lot on my mind. But most important in there was the profound and beautiful memories I made at ILA, my friends and my teachers, and how they made education so much fun, the games and the projects, and how much I improved since I've studied there. And I wrote all of that, transferred it to the paper. So that was the main information of the paper.
How long is the letter?
It's not too long. I think it was around 3 paragraphs, each paragraph 4 to 5 sentences. So in each paragraph, I focused on a different main subject. In one, I focused on how at ILA, the teachers are so supporting and inspiring for me, and that it would be difficult to find any other kind of guidance like that anywhere other than ILA. In the second paragraph, I talked about how important friendship and connection was. So before I studied ILA, I didn't really have anybody to connect with, to speak English with at my school, because it was just a normal public school. Nobody really spoke English there. And I pulled out some studies showing that how important friendship is in life. And I expressed how happy I was beside all my friends at ILA. That was the second paragraph. And in the third, I talked about how great the education was. So although the teachers there taught us so many things, it was never boring. It was always really fun. They taught us through games, through sayings and quotes and projects. And it was always so fun and educational. That's the main information I conveyed through that letter. I think I was able to write that letter in a persuasive and logical way. A lot thanks to the teachers and the information, the guidance I was given in ILA. Before that, I've always noticed that my writing is a little like all over the place. I usually struggle to focus on a specific spot, and I tend to talk in a way that doesn't get right into the problem. So after studying at ILA, then I think I was able to structure the letter in a way that will be persuasive and clear to my mom and still express my feelings in full detail.
Yeah, but I'm curious, why didn't you talk to her directly? But you wrote a letter. You decided to write a letter and just send the letter to your mother. Why didn't you just speak?
Yeah, I thought that if I only sat down and talked to my mom about how much I liked ILA, she wouldn't see how truly dedicated I was to this cause. And also, like I said at the time, I didn't really enjoy writing a lot because it was a little difficult for me right then. And I thought if I sat down and wrote a letter all by myself without being told to, then not only would it show how much I've improved after studying at ILA, it will also show how much I really did want to keep studying. Other than that, I also wanted to create something that would last, that my mom could keep and read again, and that could perhaps inspire others.
Wow, amazing already. So how did your mom feel, or what did your mom say when she received the letter?
When my parents received the letter, then I could see that they were incredibly moved. And they told me that they've never seen me this serious about something before. And I think that was part of what I think convinced them to continue letting me study.
Okay, so finally, some ways, like the letter came to ILA, and then you received a lifetime scholarship at ILA. How do you feel about that?
Although I think the letter I wrote was very convincing, there was always the chance that my mom would still pause my classes at ILA. When I heard that ILA was giving me a lifetime scholarship, then I was thrilled. I was so happy, and I'm so very grateful still to this day that ILA would give me this chance, this opportunity to continue my academic journey at this place, to be part of something so precious. And I was just really happy. Yeah.
Do you think that it is an achievement to you?
Well, I think that I felt really pleased with myself that my letter not only convinced my mom, my parents, to continue letting me study at ILA, but also ILA itself. Yeah. And I think that was quite an achievement. For me, it marked the beginning. I felt that I had become more responsible, more mature, and more in control of my actions and their consequences. And they felt that I was a little less of a child that had to depend on her parents, and more of the strong, independent young adult that I am still yet to become.
Wow. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
On that achievement. But I also know that you have a lot of other achievements. So I would say here you have won the Speak Up champion, the National English Contest winner, B1 at age 7 and B2 at age 9. Wow, amazing. So to reach that, how much practice and effort do you have to put in?
Well, like I've mentioned before, a lot of it was consistency. Studying every day, no matter whether it was a contest or not, really helped me to prepare for those competitions. And secondly, it was the philosophy that my mom told me. A contest is, like I said before, it's just an obstacle. And what really mattered to me and to my mom and to my parents was that not what I got in the end, but the process in which I overcame the obstacle. And through that, every time, I would find a way to overcome the obstacle a little bit quicker, a little bit more effectively, and with a little bit less effort. And then I would be able to implement that into my daily life. And from that, I would just become a better person overall after each contest.
So speaking about the process, during the time that you study and practice for the competitions, or let's say the process, how do you enjoy it? And what lessons do you think that you have learned from that process?
I think through the process of the competitions and preparing for the competitions, I picked up many very valuable skills that I still cherish to this day. So for example, discipline, confidence, logic, communicating in a way that is persuasive and yet still logically structured, and a lot more than that.
So, do you think that at the end, when you look back at all of the achievements, the certificates, the medals, what have the contests taught you about yourself? Did you reveal anything about your personal characters that you know more about yourself?
After each competition, looking back, and I look into those trophies and certificates, then I see how much I've grown, how much I've improved. And I also get a glimpse of get a reminder of the dedication and the effort I put into achieving each one. It's really a pride and joy to look at those trophies and stuff.
And until now, you had an amazing journey of studying and achievement of English. So in the future, what do you think you are going to do with your English? What do you want to use your English for? Maybe for your future career, or maybe anything for the community?
So looking towards the future-wise, I want to use my English to perhaps explore more opportunities on the world stage and also pursue higher educational opportunities, perhaps abroad maybe. I also want to use English sort of as a key for opening doors to unimaginable worlds of knowledge about the world we live in today. And more than that, I want to bring more knowledge back to our community, bring it back to our community. Because I can speak both English and Vietnamese fluently, then I hope to bring what I learned back to share it with our community and use it to inspire others maybe. Inspire others to build their own path, to never be ashamed of doing what they love.
Do you think you are going to be a good English instructor for your younger brothers and sisters?
My mom has asked me several times to instruct my siblings a little bit about how to speak English, and I think I would make a good teacher, but the problem is I'm not very patient. So I think I would be a good teacher for good students, but for students that need a little bit more patience and tolerance, like I used to need, then I don't think I would be on the same level as some of the teachers I met at ILA.
You can try.
I can try. I can
Sure.
certainly try.
And finally, if you could sum up your learning journey in only one sentence, what would it be?
When I go through day to day, then I live by like sort of a mantra, and that is learning is life. So a lot of people see life and academics as two separate things, almost like something in you dies as soon as you start doing your homework, right? And I think that's like a very faulty mindset because it prevents you from doing great things that even you can imagine. So I see learning as an inevitable yet very enjoyable part of life. And like I've said, learning is life. It's not separate. Learning is life. Life is learning, basically.
Thank you very much for your sharing today with the ĐI HỌC podcast. So I hope that your next journey, whatever you learn, maybe English, maybe something else, will be full of joy, happiness, and you enjoy everything you do. And I look forward to see a lot of new achievements in the future from you.
Thank you so much.
So thank you very much for spending time for the ĐI HỌC podcast today. And I hope that the story from Jessica Nhật Dương has somehow inspired you on your journey of learning and studying English. So once again, thank you very much for your time. And I hope to see you again in the next episode of the ĐI HỌC podcast.